All right. Hey, everybody. All right, I know it's been 3 in a row, so I'll try and make it fast. All right, let's see. Here we go. Perfect. All right, good. Okay, so my original name of the title was Why RWAs Are Going to Zero, and I guess my marketing team didn't like that, so we changed it to Make RWAs Feel Like Crypto. But we'll get started with this and get going. So number one, all right, who are we? I'm Chris. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Plume. We do RWAs. We build a chain and an ecosystem focused on making easy to access the real world on chain, right? So here's the three of us, the co-founders. It's 3 Asian guys, so a very diverse team. But we were able to, bring together a great set of investors and a great set of people around us. So we raised $10 million for our seed from great folks like Han and Galaxy, Superscript and all of that, right? And then more recently raised our Series A not too long ago from great folks again like Apollo, Brevan Howard, Han Ventures, Galaxy, and all of those folks. So we've all done this very quickly. We launched our token sometime earlier this year. And we've all done this very, very quickly. We started the company about a year and a half ago now, in January of 2024. And we, fast forward to today, we were recently invited to go speak at the White House and spend time with President Trump as well to talk about crypto and stablecoins and RWAs and all of that. So it's been incredible to see. And this was actually the dinner that we got there. And unfortunately, I was saying it was great. I was really hoping for more of this, So anyway, but to get to it, why are RWAs going to zero? Right? The story is actually very simple. Let's start with the definition of what RWAs actually are. Right? RWAs are a digital token that's a representation of something that is real, something that is off-chain. Right? This can be currencies, it can be bonds, it can be equities, all these types of things. Now, why are people so excited about RWAs? It's really because of this. Since the BTC ETF, since about the time we started the company, right, we've seen an explosion of this. You can see this is I took this picture, this screenshot months ago. We were at 15 billion. Fast forward to today, we're already at 30, right? So it's grown a tremendous amount very, very quickly. And the reason why everyone is so excited again and all this growth is because of this, right? The RWA opportunity is very, very large, right? If you look at all types of things in the real world, right, you have what is that? Derivatives, we've got equities, right? We've got stocks, and all kinds of things. And ultimately, what we have here is crypto, right? Still very, very small, right? Fortunately. So the real world is thousands of trillions of dollars, and crypto is small. So if we can take some of these things and put it on chain, it's going to make everything a lot better for everybody, especially people that are holding tokens, right? So that's the idea, and that's what's happening. So if you look today at the headlines, you can see a bunch of stories coming around on tokenization. That's why everybody's here. Right? You have all kinds of major institutions, governments, regulators, all these people talking and thinking about RWAs now and thinking about tokenizing different assets, right? And why is this? Right? It's really 2 things. Number one, of course, it's this. This is the BTC chart, right? So we've seen the price of Bitcoin go up quite a bit, right? And that's one of the things that's really led to this excitement. Bitcoin as an institutional asset that's being adopted, right? You have all these different funds buying Bitcoin right now. Has really made things go up and made people quite excited about where this is all going, right? And the second reason, again, is this, right? This was a big start of it, right? When we had Trump come into office and also many other places around the world, right? Both in Korea, in Japan, in Singapore, all over, you have things like this. You have articles and headlines saying Bitcoin's going up, crypto is getting better, right? It's going 80,000, right? Now 109K, right? And then, of course, today, we're at 112 or 110 or 111, somewhere there. But it's positive, right? Everyone's been very excited about this. Now, the unfortunate truth, though, is despite the sentiment around this, unfortunately, for some reason, when I open my phone and I wake up in the morning, I look more like this, right? And it's because, unfortunately, despite the fact that BTC is up in a major way, right? Alts, right? Other tokens are down a lot. Right? And so that is the issue here, and that's one of the things that we're here to talk about, right? And it's because people are lacking things, people want real things to do, right? And so really, predicting that crypto is going to go up, everything's going to be great, right? But ending up with this situation feels a little bit like this, where instead of just stepping on the rake, you could do a fancy jump and then still step on the rake, So that's kind of where we are today. But, so going into it, we've all heard this before. We've talked about tokenization forever. We talk about RWAs and all tokenization, that kind of things. We've been doing this since every cycle. We've talked about security tokens and all kinds of things, right? And the reason is this, going into it. If you look at this again, right, this is an article that talks about what this is. This talks about tokenization as a way to improve operations, to improve efficiency, right, to improve liquidity, right, and to improve the back office, right? You can see here kind of what this is saying, right? And if you go into it, this is last cycle. Right, you can see the headlines here. You can see here, this is from January 22. We're talking about launching real estate tokens, right? We're talking about, putting venture capital funds on chain and all this kind of stuff, which maps exactly to the last cycle, right? This is what happened last time. Didn't really work, right? If you look this cycle, the headlines are all the same thing, right? We're taking venture funds, putting chain, taking real estate, putting it on chain. It's all the same stuff, right? And so, what is different this time? Is it different or is it not, right? Now, one thing to point to, we have seen success in tokenized assets. right? Which has been great to see. If you look at this product, as a simple example, BUIDL, right? Our friend Graham was just talking about this earlier, right? BUIDL is BlackRock's private money market fund, right? That does T-bills, and we're seeing here that you've got $3 billion. Great, or $2 billion actually. Right, great, it's exciting. But unfortunately, the thing to look at is this, right? That's 90 different wallet holders, right? I don't know about you, but 90 holders is not real adoption. Right? And so we're still very early in this cycle, right? If you look at this, is OUSG fund, right? Good, $730 million, looks great, 76 holders, right? And of course, in crypto, we can just anonymize these wallets, right? So 76 holders is probably actually more like 6, right? And so that's the reality as well. Despite the fact you have bigger numbers, it's still largely for show, it's still quite early. Right? And that's why we at Plume focus on one thing. I look at this, which is it's RWAs, it's analytics product, it talks about tokenization. What I care about is this number. How many actual holders are here? How many people are using this thing? And how do you change this? Right? And go from a small number of holders to many holders, right? It's looking at this. What we talk about and what we think about here is RWAs as on-chain TradFi. By mimicking the real world and putting it on-chain, what you are doing here is just bringing one thing to another. It doesn't have to change anything. Right? And so that's why you look at these products, take a look, these numbers are a little bit out of date, I realize. I didn't have time to fix it this morning, but if you look at this, BUIDL here, right? You've got a bunch of TVL, right? Some holders, not very many. OUSG, a bunch of TVL, some holders, right? Now, the thing that is important about this is if you look at DeFi today in a crypto native product, like Maker, right? I guess it's called Sky now. That's how out of date my slides are, right? And then Pendle here is another one, right? You can see here the TVL is both much higher and the user count is much higher. This is what real adoption looks like, right? This is what real usage looks like. Right? And so this is what we need to do. We need to think about this not as on-chain TradFi, right? But a new thing that takes the best of on-chain, takes the best thing of TradFi, takes the best of crypto and combines it into something net new. Right? That's what we want here, right? And we need to focus on the attributes that are important for crypto, right? And lean into the benefits to make new products that are actually better than the existing products, right? Things like this, right? On-chain TradFi today, right, is the same. It's still illiquid, it's gated, it's permissioned, all this kind of stuff. Versus crypto native, you have liquid, permissionless, composable. By doing this, it opens up incredible amounts of capital very, very quickly. When you look at a product like Athena as an example, right, USDE has $16 billion in TVL. That's real adoption. And they have hundreds of thousands of holders. That is a very different game, that's what you want, right? Now again, going into this number, right? Now how do you actually do this? By focusing on on-chain TradFi, by focusing on a crypto native version of RWAs, right? You can get to this. This is sorting the different chains out there today, right? By number of holders, the number that actually matters, right? If you look at this, of course, Plume's at the top here with over half of the market in its entirety on Plume. So over 50% of the entire market is in one place. We are more users for RWAs than every single chain on this table combined, right? So and we've only been live for 2 months. Right? So by focusing on changing dynamics of how people use these assets, you can get real users, real adoption. And that's what this is all about. Right? Having a big fund with some money is great. Having fund with users and money is much better. Right? And again, going into this is our focus. We focus on making assets crypto native, right? And making this work. And we take inspiration from the only RWA that matters today, the stablecoin. Right? Every RWA today is nominal and small in comparison, right? And the reason why it's called RWAs are going to zero is because when we talk about stablecoins as an example, we just call them stablecoins. We don't call them RWAs, right? Because the name is a descriptive name. It tells you what this is. An RWA today is a basket of anything. It could be Pokemon cards, it can be watches, it can be wine, it can be stocks, it can be equities, it can be bonds. It doesn't make any sense. There's no world and no category ever where you put all those things together, right? It's a mismatch, it's a basket of things that don't have a fit. That's what this really is, right? And so that's why stablecoins today are so important and a very good descriptor. Because stablecoins, again, are not a tokenized version of the dollar. The stablecoins are crypto. Right? To 99% of people using stablecoins, that is a crypto native product and it feels and looks and smells just like crypto. And now we can do more things. And so if we take our lesson from the stablecoin, we can see this. It's about just making on-chain assets. It's not about RWAs at all, right? And you have to first focus on what is here. What is the market today? It's crypto natives. On-chain, 99% of the audience is crypto native people, right? There are other people coming on, but as you get adoption and usage, then you can expand and bring on the rest of the world. Right? Just like the stablecoin today. The stablecoin has been around for 10 years and was focused on crypto natives first. Right? And then it became a thing we can do cross-border payments, we can do all kinds of stuff. Right? So that's the idea and that's how we get real adoption here. I think it's an inverse way of looking at it and so that's why I want to talk about it today. So going back to it, how does that manifest at Plume? Again, Plume, we run an ecosystem, a network, a blockchain, an L1, right? Focused on making it easy to access the reward on-chain. Right? And today, in the time we've had, we have the biggest ecosystem in RWAs by a huge margin, over 200 projects building on us. We have hundreds of millions of dollars of TVL, a ton of users, a bigger community, right? And some of the greatest investors, spanning TradFi and crypto. right? We've done this all by taking one thing. We combine many elements and put them into one. We have a tokenization engine. We have our customized chain. We have a liquidity provider, a huge network of liquidity providers. We have a huge community, right? And the largest ecosystem as well. By putting all these things into one place, we make it easy to do things. Today, if you're an asset issuer in your institution, you're thinking about deploying stuff on chain, you have to think about managing 50 different chains and relationships. Even just managing the private keys for all that is ridiculous. Right? So what we do is make that very easy by combining everything into one. So if you come to Plume, all you do is this. You can tokenize it, you can capitalize it through our network, then you can actually get distribution. That's what matters. Right? And so what we do here is instead of trying to bring the blockchain to TradFi, right, which we want to do, but it's a two-step problem. We start with the bottom. Let's bring the real world to crypto and find usage, adoption, and volume behind this. And then we can go to the second piece, which is onboarding the rest of the world and growing the pie. Right? Now, what do we do at Plume today? We have everything, right? Across 200 projects, that means we have collectibles, things like Pokemon cards, watches, wine, all those things, alternative assets, things like mining, things like real estate, things like venture capital, and then, of course, also classic financial instruments, right? What that means is, on Plume today, you can do anything from Apollo's private equity fund, right? Apollo's private equity, ACRED, right? We have the largest deployment of ACRED in the world right now, right? $50 million came in just the other day, right? And so not only do you have the highest quality financial instruments and the highest quality assets out there from one of the biggest asset managers in the world, is a $700 billion asset manager, right? You can also buy durians, right? So if you're interested in durians and durian farms, you can also invest in these. So that's the idea. It's a mix of everything. It is a marketplace where you can interact and deal with anything and everything in the world through a couple clicks of a button. That's what this is, and that's what we're doing here, right? And so again, what you do on Plume today is what you do in the real world and what people are doing right. You're here to earn, you're here to trade, you're here to speculate. That's what people do anyway. We make it easy with anything and everything in the world, and we focus on doing this by having built the #1 community in the world for RWAs. Right? We have an insane community. If you go on Twitter and search for it, you see people doing this, right? You can see someone here got a tattoo of our logo. Unfortunately, that's our old logo, and I changed it not too long after. But thankfully, they got a second tattoo with our new logo on it, right? So that's the power of our community and the strength. And that's why when people deploy assets on Plume, they get real usage. And that's why people want to deploy Plume, right? And that's why we have folks like Apollo, right? Again, the largest asset manager out there and one of the best funds in the world on Plume in the biggest deployment. And that's how we have a huge number, over $600 million in TVL on Plume today, right? The #1 holder base in the world for RWAs, right? And that is a little bit about Plume and what we're doing with RWAs. Thanks for the time, appreciate it, and I hope you get this conference.